Well, good evening. My name's Andy Durrell. I'm President and CEO of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to welcome everyone to our first ever member gala. You know, tonight we're going to celebrate 125 years of history of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce and the people who have contributed to our success. But before we get into the formal part, there is one rumor that I did want to put to rest very quickly. Somebody asked that was Andy actually here for the first one of these? The answer to that is no, I wasn't. I was hired in the second year. So anyway, thank you for being here, and I want to thank each and every one of you for helping contribute to the Ohio Chamber's success over the years. We're especially pleased that the governor-elect is with us tonight, and we, of course, are taking full credit for his election like everybody else is. We've got a unique organization in the Ohio Chamber, but that organization has led, I believe, to making this state a great place to live and work, and we're proud of that. So please enjoy your dinner, and we'll start the program up shortly. But again, thank you for being here tonight. I'm very pleased to introduce our MC for the evening. So you don't have to put up with me, that's the other good news. But it's a great friend of ours at the Chamber who probably doesn't even really need an introduction. In 1971, she came to work at the Ohio Chamber of Commerce as a research associate and supervisor to the clerical staff. Now, when she was being very candid on a video that we put together, she said, really what that meant is I came as a typist. Think about that for a minute, a typist. Well, she wasn't a typist very long at the Chamber, and she quickly moved up in various roles, serving as Director of Legislative Services, a role she held until 1984, when she became Vice President of Special Programs, helping us plan and execute our Salt Fork Legislative Conference, which many people in this room have come to enjoy over the years. But that's not all she did. She served as a local elected official in Reynoldsburg, and then in 1981 was elected to the Ohio House of Representatives, all while she was still working at the Ohio Chamber of Commerce. That's hardly noteworthy. It gets better from there, folks. Jeez. In 1995, she became the first and only female to be elected by her peers to serve as the Speaker of the Ohio House. Oh, but it gets better, of course. She continues, well, I got to at least tell one little Joanne story. And sorry, gee, if you haven't figured it out, it's Joanne Davidson. I'll get to that in a second. But my favorite story of Joanne, and maybe other people have heard this, she broke her ankle during the election cycle. And you might say, how did she break her ankle, Andy? Anybody want to say that? Thank you. It was a tough crowd. Joanne broke her ankle. She was actually Speaker at the time. She was out putting up vote for a judge sign in somebody's yard as Speaker when she was trying to run back to the car and jump over the sign and trip. Now, what was she doing out there putting up signs to begin with? But that's the type of person she is. She's still active today. She serves on the Casino Commission, also very involved with the Joanne Davidson Institute, which focuses on, that's a good, heck, half of this room has got to be graduates of that particular program, but it works very hard at empowering women to get involved in politics, a great thing, and we appreciate that work. She is also co-chair of the 2016 Republican National Convention up in Cleveland. She's really a friend of ours that we hold very dear. Please help me bring a warm welcome to Joanne Davidson.
Thank you. Well, once Andy told a story about me, that opens up all sorts of possibilities. And I was going to be on my best behavior tonight, so maybe I should hold those stories to see how things go. But one thing I'm very, very proud of is the fact that when Andy was interviewing for a job at the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, I was one of the people that had the privilege to interview him. And it's, as we look at him now and the record that he has set for the Ohio Chamber of Commerce and the great leadership that he's shown, that was a pretty good interview, Andy. Well, thank you, Andy, for that very nice introduction, and it is truly a pleasure for me to be here tonight celebrating the 125th anniversary of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce. And believe me, I did not work for them for 125 years. Everybody knows how old I am because somehow or other they seem to want to put that in the newspaper all the time. But on behalf of the Chamber, seriously, I would like to welcome everyone and say a heartfelt thank you for your continued support of this historic group. I must admit that after receiving Andy's call, asking me to serve as moderator tonight, I spent a lot of time thinking about my over 20 years of employment with the Chamber and what it meant to me. And it's part of the Chamber staff. Some of my memories include my very first week of being employed at the Chamber, which, as Andy said, was in 1971, and it was the week in which the legislature passed the income tax. And one of the things I learned about that is that I thought I was working, you know, an 8 to 5 job, or maybe even a 9 to 5 job. But I learned that the legislature never did anything on time, so I think I was working an 8 to midnight job there for a while. So you legislators in the audience, that's when I began to understand how the legislature actually worked. But I had another opportunity then when I was assigned, because clearly I was actually hired as a typist. But I was also hired, quite frankly, as somebody that would kind of help to maintain some of the records. And my first assignment from my boss, who probably only a few people in this room would remember, actually was Norm Baker, but also Jack Reimers, who was one of the best tax experts when he was with us in the state of Ohio. But I was assigned the file room and said, go clean up the file room. So I opened the door, and it was a difficult sight because there were papers that sort of reminded me of an attorney's office. There were papers all over every place. But when I started opening the cabinets and the file drawers, lo and behold, probably at least 2/3 of them were devoted to the years in which the Chamber tried to eliminate townships. So if any of you out there are township officials, I just want to let you know that piece of history. And actually, at that particular time, I had a second job in which I was what was called a township clerk. Now they call them fiscal, advisors. So I looked at that and I'm thinking, so I'm working for the Chamber who are trying to eliminate my other opportunity. I'm just kidding, Andy. It was, but it was actually an education for me. But we have many, many special people with us tonight, some people that I haven't had a chance to see for a long time. And we like to recognize them because without their support, we certainly wouldn't be here tonight celebrating 125 years of being the voice for Ohio's businesses. The first group I'd like to recognize are our local chamber members. My first entry into Chamber of Commerce world was working for the Findlay Chamber of Commerce, which is my home community, where I worked for 9 years. And I think one of the things that I still believe as I walked away from that 9-year experience, probably was the most important thing I learned, was that the continue of good political leadership for a local chamber of commerce helps them to do more for the community than anything else that can happen. So remember that the next time that you are looking at electing local people. So I want all of our local chamber people who are with us tonight to stand up and be recognized. Second, we have always been a member-driven Chamber of Commerce. The stances that have been taken by the Ohio Chamber on legislation and the creation of our legislative agenda all comes from the input of our committee members. If you serve on one or more of the member committees, would you please stand and be recognized? Or if you're a member of the board, and I know some of the board members, a lot of them are here, let's everybody stand and be recognized. Also, much of the work is done at the Ohio State House. It is in the partnership with our elected officials that we champion free enterprise, economic competitiveness, and growth for the benefit of all Ohioans. I invite our current and past members of the Ohio General Assembly to please stand to be recognized tonight, and thank them for being here. The Ohio Chamber of Commerce has had some outstanding leaders who have volunteered countless hours to guide this organization. Would all of our past chairmen and our current chairman please stand? I know you saw them up here a little earlier getting their picture taken, but I think they deserve some special recognition. So if you would please stand and receive our applause. Finally, we would like to thank the sponsors for making tonight's event possible. These sponsors are indicated in tonight's program. We thank them for their continued support of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, and I would ask them to please stand, and let's give them a good round of applause. We are here tonight to celebrate the history of this fine organization, a history that goes back to 1893, when the country and state were in the midst of an economic depression. It was a time when two of the country's largest employers were collapsing, which caused a domino effect on banks and businesses closing. Ohio's unemployment rate for industrial workers was 50%. In response to this crisis, several business leaders from all over Ohio came together in Cleveland to form what was then called the Ohio State Board of Commerce. And the rest, they say, is history. They give us a historical perspective on what has happened over the years, these last 125 years. Let's watch the video, and you'll learn a little bit more about the past of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce.
Today, we celebrate notable milestones in the history of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, which through the years has been a true champion for Ohio business.
Oh, it's all gone by in a flash. There's so much to tell that I don't know where to begin or where to end.
Things were tough in the 1890s. Businesses collapsed, banks failed, and the stock market plunged. Unemployment rates in Ohio reached 50%. Homelessness increased. But several businessmen in Ohio answered this cry for help by forming the Ohio State Board of Commerce, which would be later named the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, with Mr. C.C. Burnett as their president. The board's mission was to support legislation that would improve business and Ohio's economy. In 1902, Civil War veteran Allen R. Foote oversaw the broadening of membership to include individuals, firms, and corporations. In 1904, a state highway department was created with funds to go toward road repair and construction. The Ohio State Board of Commerce was an early proponent of this important effort. To aid in our focus on tax issues, the National Tax Association was created to advance the theory and practice of public finance, including public taxing, spending, and borrowing. In the 1920s, as the Ohio Chamber of Commerce was restructuring, our 41st president's grandfather, Samuel P. Bush, served on the board. At that same time, Robert A. Taft, grandfather to Ohio's 67th governor, served on the Ohio Chamber's Ways and Means Committee. The Ohio State Board of Commerce became the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, or the OCC, in 1926. This reorganization would improve its impact and expand its reach, under the oversight of George Brinton Chandler. The establishment of state police happened in 1928, thanks to the Chamber, along with farmers, women's organizations, and business groups. In 1929, the All-Ohio Tax League was formed. 1932 saw the establishment of the Ohio Inter-Organization Tax Association, the Ohio Branch Citizens Reconstruction Organization, the Ohio Emergency Committee, and the Ohio branch of the Organization to Reduce Public Expenditures. In 1938, the Ohio Chamber of Commerce expanded through the Forward Ohio movement, which increased service to members while promoting better understanding between management and labor. In 1943, during the Second World War, the Chamber lobbied successfully for the relaxation of labor laws so women could work more than 45 hours per week to support the war effort. In 1956, funds were raised by the Chamber for the Taft Memorial Bell Tower in Washington, D.C. to honor Senator Rob Taft.
It's got some very interesting and I think significant statements that he made. About the importance of freedom, particularly, and free enterprise as well, which is, of course, a major goal of the chambers of commerce across the country.
In the 60s and 70s, the Chamber created booklets for students on the structure and functions of the Ohio state government. In 1969, the Chamber created a resolution to salute all who contributed to the success of the Apollo mission. An employee of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce since 1971, Joanne Davidson started out as a research associate and supervisor to the clerical staff, or as she puts it, a typist. As the Chamber continued to grow, so did her roles as she was promoted to finance specialist, then director of legislative services, and finally vice president of special programs. While moving up at the Chamber, she was also elected to the Ohio House in 1980, putting to work much of what she learned at the Chamber. Then in 1994, she became the first and only female Speaker of the House. Between 1983 and 85, we saved Ohio over $133 million by retaining the corporation franchise tax credit for investment in new machinery in the omnibus budget bill. Workers' compensation reform occurred between 1989 and 1994. The Chamber was able to save millions for Ohio employees.
Providing leadership has been critically important to the mission, and they've really stepped up to the plate repeatedly.
The 1990s was a huge time of growth for the Chamber. We celebrated our 100th anniversary, and we promoted Andy Dorrell to president. In addition, the elimination of the unemployment compensation surcharge saved Ohio employers $80 million.
Andy was a very judicious, careful, and cautious accounting type, even though he's a lawyer. We had to make sure that, we didn't exceed our budget, and we didn't. I was kind of surprised when I took a tour of the new facilities and saw that he put a shower in.
Andy's style has just been so inclusive, right? Not just with legislators, but with partners on the association side.
It's a darn good thing for the chamber that he's a better executive than he is a fisherman.
In 1996, the Ohio Chamber of Commerce moved to its first purchased headquarters at 230 East Town Street. It provided great meeting and office facilities, but more importantly, it provided room for growth. Growth not just in the number of members, but also by expanding our endorsement process into the Ohio Supreme Court, and growth in the number of ways we work with other associations.
My time with the Chamber was wonderful. Every single day was fun and interesting. I loved working with our members. The business community is a great community, and it was a privilege to be able to work with them.
The Chamber of Commerce had a lot of impact during my days in the legislature. We were always interested in what their feelings were on a piece of legislation, good or bad.
But I was very pleased about that we could work together through both the issues that we shared and the issues that we disagreed upon.
To this day, the Chamber has thrived and grown to nearly 8,000 members, representing businesses large and small in cities and villages throughout the state. We continue to provide political expertise and have a strong history of credibility and influence.
And have been actively involved with the Chamber and have suggested to my clients that the Chamber is a good place, a good organization to belong to. And the Ohio Chamber brings all interests together and represents them.
I think the Chamber is important because it brings both small business and large business views in terms of policymaking. And with it, they bring experience.
It's about having a voice. It's about making sure that business and all of the wonderful things that Ohio businesses make and create for Ohioans and for the world.
The Ohio Chamber of Commerce has achieved many recent victories as it has championed tort reform, the reduction of state business taxes, the simplification of municipal taxes, the redevelopment of brownfields, and many other issues. The Chamber has also led the charge in electing pro-business legislators and Supreme Court candidates who don't legislate from the bench.
I loved what we did in the political arena, and one of the things that I'm most proud of in all of the things that I worked on with the Chamber is our Redesigning Ohio report. That was a report that we did with the Metropolitan Chambers of Commerce across the state.
This anniversary year has been exceptionally busy as we became active in combating Ohio's opioid crisis by introducing our opioid toolkit, launched our very first image campaign, Ohio Businesses, Good for Life, and moved our headquarters to the historic Columbus Dispatch Building directly across the street from the State House, all during an election year. The work done by the Chamber continues to fulfill its mission. As the state's leading business advocate and resource, the Ohio Chamber of Commerce aggressively champions free enterprise, economic competitiveness, and growth for the benefit of all Ohioans.
And they were really a strong, effective, trusted advocate for the legislature back in the 1970s and still today.
And the Chamber has always been looked to as a strong voice for Ohio's business community. And not only a voice, but more importantly, it's been a leader. It's been a leader on key issues that matter.
I think it's important that the Chamber continue to lead in terms of anticipating the future. And we have to make sure that we have the proper infrastructure, either through legislative or regulatory means, to support the growing and changing economy and attract more to it. And that our members share with us where they'd like to go and how we can help.
Across the board, the Ohio Chamber has made a big difference in policymaking in Ohio.
Had the privilege to work with very talented Ohio Chamber staff for almost 21 years. And certainly my relationship with Andy Dorrell is one that I very much treasure over the time that we worked together.
Endorsing the candidates, all sorts of things on the political side. Of course, advocating for key issues for the business community has been and always will be the hallmark of what we do, and there's been a lot of that over the last 125 years. I'm only here because I'm blessed to have good staff, and they have taken good care of me over the years, and we've had a lot of good people come through this organization, and I'm very proud of that. The future of the Ohio Chamber is nothing but going up. Moving on to Capitol Square raises our presence even greater in the context of what we do on a day in and day out basis. And I see us becoming even more of a key player in the context of term limits that are now in place here in the legislature. You need a steady source of good information and background, and that's what the Chamber has been and always will be. And last, I'd like to put a special thank you out there to Joanne Davidson. Everyone knows what a unique individual she is, and I'm very pleased to be able to call her a friend.
Hey, I just want to take a few minutes to congratulate you on 125 years of being active here in the state of Ohio. You know, I remember back in 2010 when the Chamber decided to endorse me for governor, believing we could turn this state around. And fortunately, everybody working together, and we've seen quite a turnaround. We're up almost 560,000 private sector jobs. We've been able to reduce taxes, including kill the death tax, but we've also been in a position of where we've been able to make sure that people who are low earners also are giving a tax break as well. It's all been good. I feel like the state has come together. The Chamber's important. You need to make sure your voice is heard, a voice of business, so that as people in government make decisions, that they're aware of both the consequences and the help that could be involved in terms of making Ohio even better. So look, it's really, really cool. We just have to keep it going, and that this partnership between the Chamber, the government, decision makers, educators, that it remains intact. That's what's important, because Ohio is on its way up. I want to congratulate you and thank you for all the help that you've given us.
Andy made some very nice comments, obviously, about staff. And I still consider myself part of the staff of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, and I appreciate that, Andy. But there are some former staff people who are with us tonight coming back for this celebration of 125 years. I wish that the former staff members would stand. And then after a minute, I wish the previous or the current staff members would stand and join them so we can give them a round of applause. All right, don't be bashful. There's not a business person in this room who doesn't recognize that your strength is having a really good staff. And the Chamber's been fortunate to have that for many years. So after watching that video, I cannot wait to see what the Chamber of Commerce has in store for its next 125 years. The Ohio Chamber will always play a role in helping to educate future leaders on how important it is to support business and organizations like those represented here tonight, who are the drivers of Ohio's economy. Frankly, it would have been very difficult for me to assume the leadership responsibilities in the House had I not had the opportunity to be part of that staff and be fortunate enough to work for the Chamber and learn from some of the most talented and strong leaders in Ohio. And a person who the Chamber will be working with closely is a very good friend of mine. He has spent much of his life actually giving back to this state. And I think that that's really important because of the roles that he is getting ready to play. And I think that those roles just are indications of what he has already done for the state of Ohio. And that's our governor-elect. He started out as a county prosecutor in Greene County. He was a state senator. He was a member of Congress. He was a lieutenant governor. He was a United States senator. He came back and served 2 terms as Attorney General. And as we know, had a wonderful victory on Tuesday night. And even after having been all those late nights and all those meetings he's been to, he is with us tonight. Andy, come up and let's greet together the next governor of the state of Ohio, Mike DeWine.
job. Joanne, thank you very much. Thank you all. All right. Thank you very much. Joanne, thank you very, very much. The first time I met Joanne was in the chamber office, and I walked in. I was running for office. And Joanne, I can't even remember what office I was running for, but I suspect it was the state senate. But you were very, very gracious, and that was literally the first time that I met Joanne. And of course, had no idea of at that time what our long relationship would be. Joanne has played a major role in my campaigns, and certainly in this last campaign was an instrumental advisor and really led our debate negotiations, which was quite a task. Joanne can share that story with you sometime, but quite a task. Andy, thank you very, very much for your leadership. Congratulations to the chamber. You all do a great job. I am very grateful for the endorsement of the chamber in this election, endorsement in the past. Thank you for what you did in showing the moral leadership and just leadership in regard to state issue number 1, which would have been an absolute disaster. There's a number of people in this room, I won't call them out, but who were involved in that battle. But this was a case where money was on one side, and that was the other side. But the facts were on our side. And it really was an amazing grassroots effort. It was what happened county after county when you had elected officials, Democrat and Republican elected officials, who stood up and held press conferences, and the local newspaper, local radio station, in some cases the TV station, covered that. It was one of these kind of rare times, and maybe not so rare, but I think a great time when the money lost out, and what won was just the facts and people working at the local level, and the chamber, really set the tone in regard to that. My family comes from a small business. We were in the seed company, agriculture-related business for, I guess, about 70 years. When I first, in high school, I worked in the family business. Never more than probably 25 employees. But in that experience, you really get to understand the importance of good government and how bad government is. You get to understand how government can either set the right tone and create a good business climate, or can really interfere, particularly with small business. And small business has really no way to combat sometimes. So I tell people a story that my grandparents started the business, my parents were in there, I was in there, my uncle was in there. It's kind of a family business, but the office itself was actually run by my grandmother. Her name was Alice, and when you walked in, there was never any doubt that Alice DeWine was in charge of the office. And she was a great salesperson. It was all about customer service. But one of the things I just remember is how often that I heard her complain about government and those idiots in Washington and those idiots in Columbus and on and on. So Alice DeWine's voice is always in my ears, and so I assure the chamber that and NFIB and others that I'll always remember that. We just had an election a couple of days ago, in case you all missed it. But so much for the polls, I guess. It was, as John Husted and I have talked about, and John is the athlete. I'm not the athlete. I just like sports, but he said, we left it all on the field, and we really did. By the time we were done at 7:30 Tuesday night, and we'd really worked that whole day to continue to try to influence voters. Started that morning at 6:30 with a live radio call, and I had 3 radio calls before 8, and continued to work all day and do that. But at the end, our attitude was, whatever's going to happen, happens, because there's not much more we can do. Every public poll that I saw, and I won't talk about our internal poll, because I never do that, but every public poll I saw either had us 4 points behind, or at best we were even. So we literally didn't know what was going to happen. I will be honest with you. And my wife, Fran, who's always the most sensible person in the family, just basically said, okay, Wednesday morning we're going to wake up and we're going to have a new life one way or the other. And either way, it's going to be okay. So she's kind of the rock that holds our family together. But as the returns started coming in, we liked the returns even when we were behind, because we felt we were doing better than we had anticipated with the early ballots that were cast prior to that day. And then things just got better. If you'd seen us, this was quite a scene. We had about 40 members of our family together gathered in a suite in the hotel, and we had little kids playing on the floor, and it was quite a thing. And because we all were looking at the same results as everybody else was on the Secretary of State's website, so everyone's walking around. My kids were walking around looking at the results as they were coming in. But I'm very grateful to the people of the state for electing me. It is an awesome responsibility, and it's a responsibility that my commitment to you is I will approach with the same seriousness I've done the last 8 years as your Attorney General, and that I will work just as hard to do this job as I did to get it. And that's my commitment. Fran, I did something that we have not done for a while. Last night we went to a movie. That was really great. She sends her regards, but she's home. We are in the process, as you may have seen, of we went right at it on Wednesday and started to put the administration together, and named a transition team and a couple of the key positions. But one of the people I did not mention yesterday, but I do want to mention tonight, she is here because she will play a major role in our administration. That is my Attorney General, First Assistant Mary Mertz. Mary, you want to? So if you have complaints or if you have anything you need, I'm sure Mary will give you her card. And I just want to conclude by saying my relationship with the Chamber has been just, I think, a great relationship. It's a relationship where I learn. We get together. I'm not sure how often we get together, Andy, but we get together every few months. And my commitment to Andy and to several of the other business organizations that we get together, and 4 or 5 of us, is that we will continue that when I'm governor. And I think the last time you said we'll have the next meeting at the governor's house, right? And we will. We will do that. I want to say something about the local chambers. I am a great believer in not only local government, but local leadership. You're going to find that this DeWine Houston administration is an administration that listens. It's an administration that wants your thoughts, wants your concerns. We want to be helpful. And the only way we can know that is if you tell us. And so just as we're a great local government state, and I've said the same thing to local elected officials, I'll say this to the local chambers and the leadership in the different communities. As my friend George Voinovich used to say when I served him as lieutenant governor, we look to you to determine what your priorities are. You make that determination. We can't make those determinations for you. But when you make those determinations, we will be a partner with you. We will work with you. And so that is my commitment to all of you. I'm here tonight really just to give no long speech, but to rather congratulate the Chamber, but to also to tell you how much I enjoy working with you, how much I enjoy working with Andy and the team, and that relationship will continue for the next 4 years. Thank you very much.
Don't you just love them? Thanks, Mike, and we really do look forward to working with you to make Ohio even a better place for job creation and growth and success. So we're going to be working together, that's for sure. We look forward to it. You've been so involved with the state, and Joanne as well. I'd like both of you to help me at this point, because we're going to recognize some founding members. Believe it or not, again, out of the group that came together 125 years ago, there are 15 organizations or companies that were founding members that are still members of the Ohio Chamber today. I think that's a pretty phenomenal thing. Not all of them could be with us tonight, but we're happy to recognize those that could be here with us this evening. And so with that, Mike and Joanne are going to help me recognize folks that are here. If you come up on stage, we'll take a quick photo op as we present you with a little memento for that. Thank you. And roll the tape.
Join us as we celebrate the founding members of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce. These 15 members have advocated to help advance our mission to champion free enterprise, economic competitiveness, and growth for the benefit of all Ohioans. Let us recognize and thank those who helped launch us to where we are today. BP America Incorporated, Oregon. Canton Regional Chamber of Commerce. Cincinnati, USA Regional Chamber. Cliffs Natural Resources, Toledo. Columbus Chamber of Commerce. First Energy Corporation, Akron. Greater Cleveland Partnership. Huntington Bank Shares Incorporated, Columbus. Macy's Incorporated, Cincinnati. Marietta Area Chamber of Commerce. Owens, Illinois Incorporated, Perrysburg. PNC, Columbus. Root Candles, Medina. The Chamber of Greater Springfield. Toledo Regional Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to our founding members for 125 years of commitment to the Ohio Chamber of Commerce.
Now, once again, I'd like to thank these founding members for sticking with us through thick and thin. I hope everybody took note how many of the folks that came up this evening were representative of the local chambers of commerce. It's been my pleasure to interact with those folks for all these years, and I can't tell you that I've ever found a bad local chamber exec. They're always the best people out of the community. They're great working partners, and to know that we were founded because the local chambers thought enough about putting together a statewide organization just speaks volumes, so thank you so very much. With that, I'm going to invite Joanne back to the podium for a couple more recognitions.
As I mentioned a little earlier, much of the work of the Ohio Chamber is done at the State House. It takes place there, even at times when you're not even thinking that maybe as a business you have a problem, but the Ohio Chamber is always on top of it. Throughout the years, our governmental affairs team members have worked with the elected officials of the Ohio House and Senate to craft legislation that is beneficial to Ohio businesses. Through this working relationship can be somewhat of a challenge. We have forged special relationships to make sure the best interests of our state are first and foremost. In honor of this unique collaboration, we have Senate President Pro Tem Bob Peterson and Speaker of the House Ryan Smith here, and they would like to make a presentation.
Thank you very much. Good evening. It's my great honor, on behalf of President Larry Alpoff, who's unable to be with you tonight, and the Ohio Senate, to present a resolution. But if you allow me, as we talk about history, let me congratulate you on your 125 years of history, And let me say that my history with the Ohio Chamber goes back 20-some years ago. As a farmer and I was serving as president of the Fayette County Farm Bureau at that time. And throughout our membership campaign, like your membership campaigns, I was trying to find some new members. And the local county Chamber of Commerce president at that time was not a member of the Ohio Farm Bureau. So I thought, I'll go see this gentleman, a friend, somebody I knew, went to church with, and ask him to join Farm Bureau. So I did. I made the sale. I sold the membership. But he said, so our membership campaign kicks off in a couple months. I'm going to come see you, and I expect you to join the Ohio Chamber. You know, you'll do lots of things to make the sale. I said, yes. Much to my great shock and surprise, as a newlywed, building a house, our membership was $28. Yours was $100. But I've continued my membership for 20-some years because it has value and worth to the community and to what you do statewide. So thank you for your service. On behalf of the Ohio Senate, congratulations on 125 years. I wish you the best going forward.
Well, I just have to say something, you know, public service, I've been in the legislature for 7 years. It's a grueling grind at times, but it's one of the most rewarding things I've done. But to share the stage with a couple of people, you know, George Voinovich was one of my heroes because I just thought he was a great public servant. But to say Speaker Davidson and Governor-elect DeWine, who have been tremendous public servants for the state of Ohio, and to be here with them, I think is just, it's quite an honor to share the stage with both of you, and I appreciate everything you've done. So. Chambers hold a special place in my heart because 15, 18, I don't know how many years ago, I was on the chamber board, and one of the scariest moments of my life was when I was second vice president. I'll never forget, I remember where we were having lunch, and the presidency was getting ready to change over. And I was second vice president, so the first vice president's there, and she announced she was moving. And at this point, it struck me that that means I'm going to be president in about a month. And believe it or not, I had a true fear of public speaking at that time. And the chamber kind of brought me through that. But it gave me such great insight into business and working with a lot of different businesses that I think it's paid dividends for me in a great way. And one thing that I noticed in the Gala County Chamber, it's important you have one voice. You speak with one voice because we as legislators hear a lot of different things. And for us, when we're in meetings, and even today as we're talking about policy, the question always comes up, where's the chamber on this? And I think it speaks volumes to them and the job they do, and for 125 years of doing a great job. And most importantly, if you look at the back of your agenda there, Gala County Chamber has been a member for 75 years, so I'm relieved I did not screw that up while I was president. But I will tell you, it really is. It's an honor to be here tonight for 125 years for the Chamber of Commerce, and thank you for what you do for the state of Ohio. I couldn't agree more in the age of term limits. You bring a level of stability to what we do, and it's imperative for the state of Ohio. So thank you very much.
There's certain things you don't put on the script. I want to thank the leaders for coming over tonight. I can tell you those are going to go right up in our new space right out front in the lobby where we can prominently display those, and we do appreciate the time that you've taken tonight. We're getting towards the end, so hang in there, but there is one more special award that I'd like to do. Governor-elect, you're still here, so I'm going to bug you to come back up on stage if I could for just a second. You know, there's some people that are just so special, you don't know what the heck you really can do to recognize them. And I appreciate the warm reception everybody has given our MC this evening. We're going to give her what's affectionately known at the Ohio Chamber as a pewter plate. She'll now know that she can actually retire, because in the 35 years or so that I've been doing this, we've only given out about 5 of them. We've got a stack about 150 of them, but we haven't been able to figure out who the heck to get rid of them to over the years. But there's one special person, obviously, who means a lot to us, and I want her to get this award from the governor-elect and myself. Joe, thank you so much for everything you've done for Ohio, and not just the Chamber of Commerce, but this whole state for so many years. Thank you very much. I'm about to invite our current chairman, Larry Kidd, up to the podium to help us with a little champagne toast. You'll see those special glasses that are on the table in front of you. You get to take those home as a memento. A lot of folks are going to take those home and say, I actually got something for free from Andy. Wait till you see your next dues statement. As Larry's making his way up, there are a couple of people that have some special messaging for us before we do this toast. So roll the tape.
Congratulations, Andy and the Ohio Chamber, for 125 years of superb service to the people of Ohio. It's been my pleasure to work with you. I'm glad I'm not 125 years old, but I hope the Chamber prospers for another 125 years at least.
I just want to congratulate Andy and his team and the Ohio Chamber of Commerce for 125 years. Andy, I knew you were getting up there in years, but I didn't realize it was 125 years. Congratulations, and may you have 125 more.
Kudos and congratulations to the Ohio Chamber of Commerce on its 125th anniversary, being the leading voice in business and other affairs in Ohio. Congratulations.
Congratulations to the Chamber, and it's so wonderful that you're here right on Capitol Square, where you've been such a major influence over the many decades that you've been around. Congratulations for all that you've done for all of us. You've done a wonderful job.
125 years ago, the lyrics to Happy Birthday were first sung. So, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Chamber.
Many, many congratulations on the 125th anniversary of the Chamber. You perform a vital role. It's important that it continue, so keep on going.
I'd like to congratulate the Ohio Chamber on its 125th anniversary. It's a wonderful organization with a fabulous history, many, many successes, and I'm sure they're going to have many successes in the future, even without me.
I would like to wish the Ohio Chamber of Commerce much continued success on their 125th anniversary, and I hope that they will continue for another 125 years and continue their advocacy for good legislation before the Ohio General Assembly.
It's so important that the Chamber's work, engaging our fellow Ohioans in whatever business they're in for such a long time. And I look forward to seeing the success and future of commitment and purpose and serving all Ohioans for the next 125 years.
Congratulations to the Ohio Chamber of Commerce for 125 really remarkable years and being a partner in the success of the state of Ohio. We're proud of you, we need you, we're glad we're part of the organization. And Andy, thank you for your steadfast leadership all these years. You did a really nice job.
First, I'd like to thank the staff Things like this don't happen without good people, and we have great people at the Ohio Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to thank the local chamber folks that are here tonight. They're great working partners, and I appreciate each and every one of them. I want to thank the elected officials who have joined us, especially the folks that took the time to be on our video tonight. We really appreciate working with them and being open to hearing from the Ohio Chamber on key issues in the state of Ohio.
Great video. As Andy had said, my name is Larry Kidd, and I'm President and CEO of Reliable Staffing Services in Jackson, Ohio. I'm also the chair of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce. This has been a very special night for all of us. We appreciate all of you for attending. However, some people who have a connection to the Ohio Chamber were unable to attend. One of those people is George W. Bush, whose great-grandfather, as you had seen earlier, Samuel P. Bush, was instrumental in making what the Ohio Chamber is today. And I would like to read a letter that the former president had sent to us. Greetings to those gathered in Columbus, Ohio for the 125th anniversary of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce. Congratulations on this wonderful milestone. The strength of our economy is built on hard work and the ingenuity of the American people. There is no limit to what our citizens can achieve when they have the skills to compete and the freedom to make better life for themselves and their families. By fostering an environment where business and entrepreneurs can thrive, the Ohio Chamber of Commerce has helped encourage economic growth and expanded opportunity for all Ohioans. My great-grandfather, Samuel P. Bush, was a member of the Ohio Chamber in the early 1920s. I'm sure he would have been proud of the many contributions the Chamber has made to the Buckeye State over the years. Keep up the good work. Laura and I send our best wishes for a meaningful and memorable celebration. May God bless you, and may God bless America. George W. Bush, former president. And in honor of this once-in-a-lifetime celebration, I invite you all to stand in honor of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce. For 125 years, through 28 governors, 63 general assemblies, thousands of pieces of legislation and agency regulations, we have aggressively championed free enterprise, economic competitiveness, and the growth for the benefit of all Ohioans. We strive to continue this mission for at least another 125 years. Thank you all for your continued support, and we look forward to the next 125 years. To the Ohio Chamber of Commerce. Cheers.